This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
And welcome to the show. I am Roby Brock. We appreciate you tuning in. Well, Dr. Victoria DeFrancesco Soto is the new Dean of the University of Arkansas Clinton School of Public Service. She comes to Arkansas via the LBJ School of Public Affairs at the University of Texas at Austin. She's been on the job about 100 days. We caught up for a conversation to find out what she's been doing and where she sees things going. Joining me now is the new Dean of the University of Arkansas Clinton School of Public Service, Dr. Victoria DeFrancesco Soto. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Roby. My pleasure.
And may I call you Vicky? I'm just asking if I can go to that informality with you since we don't know each other very well.
Please do, especially because I have such a ridiculously long name.
All right. You are close to 100 days into your tenure as the Dean of the Clinton School, and I trust that Dean Rutherford left it in pretty good condition for you, but give me an assessment of what you have walked into and what you've kind of found in your first almost 100 days.
Well, to that point about Skip, he left an incredibly strong foundation upon which I can write the next chapter of the Clinton School. And in the almost 3 months that I have been here, a lot of what I've done is just listen. We have an incredible faculty, an incredible staff, a student body that I just fell in love with, and hearing what they need and how they want to push the school forward. So a lot of that first 100 days was taken up in terms of listening. Taking stock of everything they told me, I've charted out a couple of paths with our leadership team, with our faculty. For example, we're going to start 2 new certificate programs. So we have a fantastic Master's of Public Service, which, by the way, was the first in the country. But we also hear that students want to focus on data sciences, program evaluation, and get that expertise noted in their transcripts, in their resumes, as well as communications and leadership for social change. So those are 2 exciting events, as well as a couple of new hires. We have 2 new faculty members that will be joining us in the fall. We also are going to be kicking off an admitted student weekend. This is the first ever time where the students we've admitted to the Clinton School will be coming, and this is our opportunity to show off, because I think, Roby, we have so much richness here in Little Rock, and once students, prospective students come and they see what a great city Little Rock is and what a great institution the Clinton School is, then we're able to pull them in and get the best and the brightest here at the Clinton School.
It sounds like from some of what you mentioned there, Skip Rutherford had told me upon his leaving the post that he really hoped that the next dean would bring some more academic rigor to the program, to the school, to raise it to a higher level. It sounds like that's what you're instituting. But the Clinton School is also known for its project-based work. And tell me what you think might change or elevate in terms of public service projects.
We want to expand upon this. I mean, this is really the crown jewel in our program, and what sets us apart from peer institutions, that we have an in-depth service learning component. Close to 50% of our credit hours are in the field, where you're not just thinking, but you're doing, and you're putting both of those together. So in terms of pushing that out, we want to be able to recruit more partners, both here locally, regionally, but also given this virtual world that, you know, we have seen open up because of the pandemic, is also open up opportunities to do practicums with folks across the country. Our international service project is one of the strongest suits of the school. We want to push that farther out. And so it's a matter of getting these new faculty members and immersing them in this, because here's the fact about the Clinton School. We're a high touch program, and we pride ourselves in the faculty to student ratio. You're not going to a school where the incoming class is 150 students, where you get lost in the crowd. We're a smaller boutique school, and I want to own that. I don't want to go up to those high numbers. I want to stay at a concentrated number where we can have that faculty interaction, shepherding the students through these rich relationships with community partners where they're learning while they're doing.
I'm not asking you to pick sides here, but you did come from the LBJ school before this post right here. Tell me what a Clinton School graduate is going to have in terms of an advantage over, say, a graduate from the LBJ school or from the Kennedy School or from one of the other programs you compete against. What's going to be a differentiator for a Clinton School graduate?
Oh, Robbie, you're going to get me in trouble with my colleagues and my friends, but that's okay. Essentially, our toolkit is a lot broader. Public affairs, public policy, public management is a lot more of a funnel into government or into nonprofits. And trust me, we do a lot of that here at the Clinton School, a lot of our alumni, and that's wonderful and that's great. But a public service degree is a little bit broader. It gives you a toolkit to be able to go into the business world, go, within the medical profession. We have a lot of joint public health degrees. So it's not as focused on just kind of the governmental sector, but it's saying, here's a toolkit on landscape analysis, on impact evaluation, go. Whatever that calling is. We have one of our Clinton School alum who helped found a bank here in Arkansas. We have alumni who work in social corporate responsibility. So it's that broader piece that sets us apart. But I come back to the earlier topic of the field learning, where we take you out of the classroom. You're not as much in the classroom as you would be at an LBJ or at a Syracuse. You're outside, even though I consider that a classroom in and of itself. And so I think that's really the distinguishing marker of the Clinton School.
COVID-19 has shut down the speaker series at the Clinton School. I know a lot of people are disappointed in that. I sense it is coming back. You've had one, I think, speaker series since you've been dean. Tell me what we can expect and how hard you're going to put Nikolai DePippa to work, making sure there's some quality coming in here.
Well, first and foremost, let me give a huge shout out to Nikolai. He has made this transition, which has been a very monumental task of learning everything, not just a new institution, but a new city and a new state. He has really made it seamless. And so thank you to Nikolai for that. But yes, absolutely. We're bringing back the speaker series, and a big thank you to Skip Rutherford, who, was able to build that bridge, that connection between the Clinton School and the community. In terms of what exactly that's going to look like, it's going to be a lot of partnerships with folks in the community. So for example, we're going to be doing joint programming with the foundation, joint programming with the library, with Jay Barth now at the helm of that, joint programming with UA Little Rock, joint programming with Pine Bluff. So building out even further bridges, and to keep these conversations going and keep folks engaged.
You mentioned Jay Barth over at the Clinton Library there. There has been some great coordination between several of the presidential libraries and the school itself. I suspect that we will see more of those partnerships as well too, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of what we do here is push forward the idea of education, right? So whether that educational piece comes from the Clinton School and it's geared toward graduate level students, or whether it's civic education on the library piece and engaging with our high schoolers and with our community members, it's that common core of education. And Jay and I have already been in conversations about how we can overlap and come together to educate the different portions of our community.
I sense that you are an optimist and you are a political scientist and you are the dean of a public service school. So there has to be some great optimism in here. I don't have to tell you about the state of politics in America and how divided everything is, how we live in these different silos for, even viewing our politics. Tell me what gives you hope that we can move beyond this great divide that we're in right now. What's going to be the catalyst to make some change?
Well, Roby, let me give you a little bit of context first, which is that a lot of my optimism comes from lived experience. I grew up in rural Arizona. I'm a border kid, and I saw folks with very different worldviews, Republicans, Democrats, rural, urban, find common ground. So when I say that, folks can find common ground, even though it's become more difficult, I say it from experience, and I say it because I have seen it. It's beginning with what folks share in common. rather than focusing on what we don't share in common. And in addition to that, is having the difficult conversations. You know, in the public speaker series, one of the things that the Clinton School did very well was bring together folks from different sides of the aisle. And that's something I want to continue doing, because if we're not talking, even if we don't get along all the time or we don't particularly like each other, we do need to focus on that bigger picture of how do we move forward as a society? How do we come together to solve the big problems that need to be addressed?